welcome to another amazing episode of your favorite news and current affairs program on television, Today's Review. And I am your host, Ray Osazwa. We've got loads and loads of information for you today. We've got some particularly interesting articles that we'll be looking to review. But before we get into all of that, we will show you tidbits and bits from our feature story segment. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. Wow, we've got a lot in store for you today, like I said, but to discuss all of these amazing, interesting articles with me is Stella. Hello, Stella.
Hello.
It's always nice to have you here.
Great to always be here.
I don't know what I would do without you on the program. All right, quickly, we will start our newspapers review today with this one titled Obesity Strategy is Failing. Now, when you think about obesity and the way, especially now we're going to focus on the UK, the first thing that comes to your mind is, okay, young people, adults, toddlers, but according to this report today, Professor Nina Modi, who actually is the president of the Royal College of Pediatrics and Child Health, she has said that all of the anti-obesity strategy that NHS yearly pumps millions and millions of pounds into has been doomed and actually hasn't produced the expected or anticipated results. We would watch a short clip, and when we come back, we will talk about what's gone wrong with all the obesity strategies that the government annually pumps money into. Let's watch that clip. We'll be back.
A quick trip to the grocery store, and it can be easy to fall into the same trap over and over again. Flashy packaging, promises of great taste, all meant to lure families, and kids especially, into eating what food companies want.
Even now, she's not even 2, but she'll see something with, a Sesame Street character and she wants that.
The food industry's success in targeting children, just one of the reasons researchers say the fight against obesity is unacceptably slow.
When we took a look at policies around the world and prevalence of obesity, we found that we haven't made a lot of progress.
The papers in The Lancet assess 187 countries and found no declining rates of obesity anywhere. Children in the U.S. are now on average 5 kilos or 11 pounds heavier than they were 30 years ago, and estimated to be the same in Canada. This despite decades of warnings.
It's critical that we focus on prevention, and prevention means focusing on kids.
But it's more than just individuals making healthy food choices.
The food industry is a formidable force in Canada. When you try to apply regulatory controls to them, they fight back. They do it behind the scenes, but they fight back.
Still, researchers are calling on governments to tax unhealthy foods and regulate school lunches. One co-author wants other jurisdictions to do what Quebec did in 1980 and ban advertising to children. This childhood obesity expert, though, says he's disappointed the Lancet research focuses so much on food. He says physical activity and a good night's sleep are just as important.
When I'm inside, I can almost reach the cookie jar from where I'm sitting here. If I'm out in the park, I can't reach the cookie jar, nor am I thinking about it.
Everyone has to eat, though, and back at the grocery store, some parents say they're fighting exposure to unhealthy foods with more healthy options.
Now, Stella, from the clip we just saw, you would say that the obesity issue is not just a problem that we are facing here in the UK. The report actually told us that in America, in Canada, in Australia, in various parts of the world, the obesity strategy that different governments of these countries have put in place don't seem to be working. The numbers are not dropping. People are waking up every day and finding that babies are born heavier than they would usually be 10, 15 years ago. So what is the problem?
Okay, first of all, it's the increasing amount of food that parents are eating even before the child is born that causes a child to be born obese. You know, we took a story previously about this, how parents eating more than for one child can cause a child to end up coming out obese, and that's what we've seen over the period of years. For the last 10-15 years, children are coming out more and more obese, and even though we have tried to bring in forces to stop this obesity from expanding and increasing in young children, it seems to be getting worse and worse. And this is because of adverts that we see on TV. When you see McDonald's, for instance, advertising something on TV, to say, oh, come and eat, the kids will be watching, yum, yum, I want that. You know, you see TV adverts of sweets, chocolates, all sorts of junk, really and truly, and they're nagging their parents, oh, get me this, and the parents probably feel pressured into getting those things for their children to make them happy. But I think it's really down to the parents. The government needs to put something in place to teach parents, make a program to teach parents on how to feed their children at early age.
That's actually what Professor Neena Modi, that's what she's saying. That's the point she's trying to make, that it's somewhat late trying to fight obesity when a child is already, you know, a toddler or a young adult. That instead of doing that, we should be looking at programs that would help families even before the conception of a child, or during conception, because according to her, an obese child is going to be an obese adult. An obese mother is most likely to give birth to a child that's obese, because so a pregnant woman who's already obese, she's eating, sometimes we deceive ourselves to say we're eating for two, you know, is eating a bit too much, and that makes the child come out bigger than he or she ought to be originally. And a child who's already used to getting intake of food, because obviously the baby is fed through whatever the mother takes, is born craving for food all the time.
Exactly, yeah. But one thing I would say is that, especially once the child is born, it doesn't just start from when the child is when you're having the conceptions of the baby in you. Or even when the baby is born, it also starts from there as well, in type of food you start to give the child from an early age. Because these things matter. If they're used to taking junk food all the time, then they're going to grow up, even as young adults, eating those things, and eventually that will lead to other generations and those things happening. So it starts from the young age, it starts from there, where the parents have to start dealing. So
parents need to, or the government needs to put programs in place to train toddlers to like, you know, healthy foods. And also, especially with parents who have little babies, to make breastfeeding trendy, because with a mother breastfeeding, that in the first place actually would help the mother to lose weight and helps the baby to get the proper and accurate nutrient that the child needs.
Oh, definitely, of course. One thing the government also needs to do, they've spent millions and millions of pounds on this situation, and it hasn't helped any better. And one thing many do say is the cause of this is because, oh, we don't have enough money, or issues of, you know, the government's not giving us enough money to buy healthy food. Healthy food is expensive.
That's not correct at all.
That's not actually
agree.
True. I've actually gone to the supermarkets and I've seen that healthy food can be cheaper. It can be cheaper than going out to be buying junk food every day.
Food.
Imagine you're spending how much on each meal? Probably have 4 children, you're spending £4 each on all of them, buying junk food every day.
Well, the Health Secretary, Jeremy Hunt, just last week here called child obesity a scandal. According to him, he said that reducing obesity would be a key priority for the new Conservative government. Reports have shown that 1 in 5 11-year-olds are obese, and the proportion of obese children in our primary schools have daily doubled. We hope that with this article and all that Professor Modi Nina has told us, that, you know, all of these things that government annually, NHS just pumps money into the obesity, you know, strategies that they come up with. And in her opinion, she wants us to look at a different direction. Let's begin to treat this and look at this from, you know, deal with this epidemic called obesity from the root, and that's even before a child is born. We hope that the government is listening and such programs can be put in place to help children and families. Quickly, we'll move on to our next story. This one is one titled "France to force big supermarkets to give unsold food to charities." Interesting. Now, according to this report, French supermarkets will be banned from throwing away or trashing or destroying unsold food, and must instead donate whatever food from shops that is unsold to charities or used for animal feeds under a new law set to crack down on food waste. Now, this law has been put in place after a French municipal councillor, Arash de Rambash, came up with a campaign against food waste, which gained more than 200,000 signatures and celebrities' support in a period of 4 months. Now, the French National Assembly voted unanimously to pass legislation just last week here. Now, before now, how did this used to, before the municipal councillor Arash de Rambash came up with this petition that has been passed into law, what used to obtain in France?
Okay, well, first of all, most supermarkets would throw the waste food, the food before date or expired food outside, and they would usually pour bleach on all the items so that homeless people can't come and collect the food or start eating, or scavengers can't come and collect food to eat, or those who didn't have anything. And so it was a way to cause food poisoning, so just in case they decide to go pick the food, they wouldn't, because they'll be afraid. To get any kind of illnesses or so. That's really horrible. But you know, Arash de Rambash decided to make this petition because he knew what it was to feel hungry. In one statement, he said that he knew what it was to go hungry, and he decided that if there is this food that's there and they just throw it away and no one else is going to eat it, why don't we give it to those who donate it? Yeah, who don't have anything, like the charities, those who are living on the streets, breakfast clubs, dinner clubs, exactly. Even students, in fact, as well, who don't have enough to survive on. So, the interesting thing about this story is that Arash de Rambash has said he's not stopping with France. You know, he's going to push this petition to various other nations in Europe and beyond. And that brings us to the UK. Just earlier on, a report this year showed that in the UK, households threw away over 7 million tons of food, which is enough to fill London's Wembley Stadium, like 9 times over. And also, I think that must have been last year, we took a report that in the UK, at least 1 in 4 or 5 children every day have to go to school hungry without breakfast. Yeah. When we were looking at this report, we found that in the whole of Europe, UK tops the charts, you know, in countries that waste food. So of all the many countries in Europe where it's recorded that annually tons and millions of food is wasted, UK tops the chart. Meanwhile, here in the UK, we know for sure there's data to prove that children are hungry. I remember watching a TV documentary, I think it was early last year, and seeing on TV that there were 3.5 million children that actually do go hungry in United Kingdom alone. This is not about any other country or Eastern world country or third world country. It's in a Western world country that these kids are actually starving. They only probably eat once when they're in school. We've got a clip to show you.
because sometimes when you say things like this, someone is watching and the person is thinking, no, you can't be serious. No. Children can't be hungry in the United Kingdom.
Oh, it happens.
It would shock you. We would watch this clip, and when we come back, we'll talk a bit more about the hunger situation with young children in the United Kingdom.
Every school day at Hazeltine Primary, up to 50 children come to school early, not for class, but for a free breakfast. Britain's recession has hit families here hard, and Principal Jeanette Brumby says kids are suffering.
They're hungry, they're not focused on their learning, and simply because they're not getting any breakfast.
How many fives will we need in 16p?
In fact, 61% of the teachers surveyed are taking money out of their own pocket to feed the children. So Hazeltine Primary joined up with Magic Breakfast, a charity that provides a free morning meal to needy kids. They provide 6,000 British school children with a free breakfast, and Carmel McConnell is the founder.
When you think about barriers to education, hunger as a barrier to education, you don't think England, but sadly that's the case. The children their only hot meal is the food they get at school for 1 in 4 children in the UK. Pretty shocking.
Often parents will drop in for breakfast too, and a chat with Principal Brumby.
They talk to me sometimes about, well, I've got nothing in the cupboards in terms of the food, and therefore sometimes we give them food parcels and things like that. They're very honest with us, and they know to come to us if the house is cold or if there's no food.
Misty Townsend has 6 kids. She told me by the time she's done paying bills, she has hardly anything left over for food.
Not every day I can afford to get my kids ready and give them something to eat. And it's good that Hazeltine's got a breakfast so they can come here and get a full healthy breakfast. As you see my son, he loves it to come in the morning. More time at home, I want to go to breakfast club. I don't want nothing to eat this morning, let's go to school.
Zoe Morphy has 3 kids, is unemployed, and her attempts to find a job in the midst of a recession are not going well.
It helps a lot, you know. If Breakfast Club weren't here, then we'd have to struggle indoors even more. If benefits are cut, then you know it affects everybody and that are on benefits in the same way. So, you know, I suppose then they'd have to start dinner club.
And what about the kids? Big smiles and drawings of bananas and apples say it all. For many of them, breakfast really is the most important meal of the day.
Amazing. I think amazing is not the word to use now. I think terrible is the word we would rather use in this particular case. You know, the recession has hit a lot of families. Lots of families are living way below the minimum wage. Some families can barely, you know, just survive. So it's shocking to see that UK tops the chart with, you know, nations that actually waste food. So I think this is a really amazing initiative by Municipal Councillor Arash Darambash to push for supermarkets for a ban, you know, for a ban for supermarkets throwing away food or destroying or trashing food when these foods can be donated to charities, to breakfast clubs and so on.
The good thing right now that Arash Darambash has done is that there is a petition now in UK actually on its way for everyone to sign that banning waste food should be stopped. And a new law should be passed so that this food can be offered to those who need it. And I think this would be a very good idea if many people went out there and did sign this petition or went online to see.
Because that's what made the petition actually thrive in France. It's something everyone, I think, should sign.
Definitely. And you can't say, oh, but I know the supermarkets, towards the closing of time, a couple hours, they reduce the price.
But at the end of the day, not everything still gets sold. There's still a whole lot of food wasted.
There is still a lot of food wasted. And remember that a lot of people don't have the money to buy these things at all, even when the price is reduced. They don't actually have any time.
And sometimes it's even an issue of pride. Some people can't come out to tell you that my kids are hungry. My kids haven't had anything to eat. So if there's a program, you know, if there's a law passed that says at the end of the day, grocery stores, supermarkets, take your food to specific, you know, organizations where families can take their children. For example, we just watched the clip now where parents take their children to breakfast clubs. That feels so much easier for a family because you walk in there with your children and you are guaranteed that nobody's going to look down on you or shame you, but the food will be given to your children, you know. And so I think it's something that we need to look at here in the UK.
Yeah, 100%. It's something that we should all go for.
And beyond that, avoidable household food waste in the UK is also associated with at least 17 million tons of CO2 emission annually.
That is a lot.
Which is a big hazard to everyone. Sometimes you see people, families go to supermarkets, and that's why sometimes I don't really appreciate the buy one, get two free, or buy two, get one free offers that supermarkets put out there. Because at the end of the day, sometimes you buy food that you don't even need. You find that because the offer is there, the tendency to want to buy it is there. It doesn't mean that you actually need it. Because at the end of the day, the expiration date runs out and you find that you haven't really been able to eat the food because you bought more than you needed, but you just wanted to cash in on, you know, on the offer, you know. Okay, quickly move on to our next story. It's one that's very inspiring, and the reason why we're taking it is the inspiration behind the story. It says, the man on a mission to collect rubbish. Now, according to this report, a man living in Vancouver in Canada who was so concerned about litter he was seeing on a daily basis in his country, in his beautiful Vancouver, quit his job to help. Now, Andy Sword is now walking 5,000 miles across Vancouver Island to St. John's, and he has so far collected over 31,000 bottles and cans so far. It's amazing that someone, he wasn't jobless. He had his whole life ahead of him. He had what he was doing. The report says that he's a marathoner. He runs, he trains to run. So he had a lot doing. But just seeing that from time to time, especially our young people, can't be bothered. People would throw things from their windows while driving. People are walking the street eating, can't be bothered, just throw cans, throw litter everywhere. He thought, I can help. I can make a difference.
To be honest, every time I see someone throw litter on the floor, I get really angry. I actually really get angry because you're dirtying our environment, and God didn't create an environment for you to dirty. It's for you to look after your environment. You wouldn't go to your house and start throwing rubbish, trash all over your room.
But at the end of the day, some people are like that. That's why some people's homes, you can't actually step your foot in.
That's true. That's 100% true.
We would watch the clip of Andy Sword, and when we come back, we'll talk a bit more about this amazing man who has decided that he would send the right message, and you know, with hoping that people would see and emulate that which he has started. Let's watch the clip.
Fresh off the ferry from Nova Scotia, he's easy to spot. A determined runner with some unusual baggage.
It's actually a two-person baby jogger. It was my uncle's idea from Northern Ontario to add these hockey sticks on the side. That's why I hang the bags, the mesh bags on.
Strange, yes, but very much necessary for Andy Sword's mission to help clean up Canada. So far, he's made a pretty good dent.
Going from west to east on the first trip, I counted over a little over 31,000 bottles and cans. All from one side of the road, like I said, so that's why I have to go back and clean up the other side of the road.
You heard that right. Since the summer of 2013, Sword has run west to east and has started the long journey back again. It's no big deal, he says. He's just a marathon runner who loves this country and wants to make it better.
We have a beautiful country if you think of the mountains and the rivers and the lakes and everything. And it bothers me to think that, you know, any young people now, if they're looking out their window, if they're not on their device, and they're looking out at the countryside and they see just, you know, littered with garbage and bottles and cans, I think that's just sad. And I'd like to sort of, you know, do what I can, even if it's only putting a little dent in. I'd like to do what I can to sort of help that.
Along the way, Sward stops and donates the recyclables to schools and community centres and chats about his effort with whoever will listen.
I love to spread the word, and I like to think that anybody who stops and chats with me is going to tell their friends about it. And that's one small group of people that will never, you know, throw anything out their car.
And don't think the mission will end when Sward makes it back to BC. He plans to continue running every summer until he's collected 1 million cans and bottles.
And Sward is doing his little bit to help in Canada. How do we relate this sort of act to our everyday lives here in the UK?
Well, this is a wonderful example of what he's doing out there. He left his job to start picking up cans to set an example, hoping that many of us will follow this example and realise that we do need to keep our environment tidy and clean. And one thing is that definitely here in UK we need to adopt this, and we need to start keeping our environment clean. If we see cans, litters, do help to clean up the environment. After all, we do see that our local councils are helping out. You know, we have the recycling bins, then the non-recycling bins. So you put whatever needs to be in the recycling there. You have the green, you have the blue, you have the grey ones. And we need to also take part in all of this, after all. So, because as we're throwing and polluting our nation, our country, that's causing more pollution in the air, and it's not really good for us as a person. It's actually very unhealthy for us as individuals.
So it's a mentality we all need to adopt.
Definitely.
Quickly, we'll move on to our next story. We're running out of time, so quickly we'll just take this one now. When you said we were going to talk about this particular article, I was wondering what's in this article for you. It's titled "Photo of Marine Praying with Bride-to-be Goes Viral." What was so intriguing about this article that you were so bent on us taking it today?
Well, when I first saw it, I just thought, oh wow, this is beautiful. Having two people who are about to get married come together. The way the picture expressed the love for God and Christ, and the way they brought it together, it shows Christ being the center of their union and them coming together. And it just, the picture alone depicts what it should be, how a husband and wife should be, and how Christ should be with the church. And just seeing that just touched my heart and overwhelmed me.
You know, a lot of things on it, you see that the devil has perverted quite a number of things. The institution of marriage was set up by God, first of all, to depict Christ's love for the church. But today, lots of people get married without even knowing what the marriage as a union, what it stands for. Everyone, we've all got a destiny to fulfill in Christ, you know. And for you to allow someone to come into your life who is not going to help to push you to the next level in fulfilling your destiny in Christ is a huge mistake that a lot of people are making.
Definitely. The true essence of marriage, and for one to come together, is to fulfill God's mission in your life, the ministry that He has given you. And if that person can't help you, then
you shouldn't even come together in the first place. That's the much we can take. Thank you, Stella. I hope somebody is hearing that for you to join yourself to someone, it has to be the right person that will help you fulfill your destiny in Christ. Thank you so much for sharing all of these topics with us today. And until same time next week, is goodbye from Stella and I. Have a lovely day. Bye.